So for today, we just had to multiply polynomials. What the heck is a polynomial again? Y equals x squared plus 3. That's a polynomial. It's just kind of a small one. What would make it not a polynomial is if this was negative, or if this was a fraction power, like 2/3, then it wouldn't be a polynomial. All right, so zoom in on this question right here. You have to have a calculator, because not many kids can do -2 to the 5th in their head. All right, so I would use a calculator that has parentheses. Like I just bought some. They're on the way from eBay. Some fairly cheap calculators, so I don't have to be paranoid about borrowing out my $100 calculators. I bought a bunch of calculators that have parentheses. Why? Because whenever you put in something like this, you're putting it in parentheses because it matters. If you have a negative without the parentheses, you get a different answer. All right, so everybody go ahead and do this. I'm putting the parentheses in to show you. And I would use parentheses if I were you. Please tell me this. Does the iPad calculator have parentheses on it? Okay, then you can use that. That'll work. Everybody put in -2. We're finding f of -2. That just simply means stick -2 in. So use your calculator and see what you get. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so here's what each little piece turned out to be. This piece turned out to be -32, and you might be like, but my answer was -32. That's okay, because the whole thing will simplify down more. But let me just show you each piece. This piece, that was -16. This piece here, +4, because -2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12, and that's this. And then last but not least is these 4s right here. They're just kind of like coming down. All right, so now I put it all together, and the way I did it, just so you know, in my head, was I said these two together would make -4. And then I add 4, and that all cancels out to 0. So my final answer is -32. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, cool. Now, what's the degree of this one? And don't think too much. 8. It's just the biggest degree. It's the biggest power. Some people mistakenly look to the front one and think, oh, it's 3 because it's in front. Nope, biggest one wins. So it's actually 8. Okay, so that's degree 8. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. If any of them were like terms, you'd have to put them together, but these aren't. All right, now, I want you to go, now we don't just do every slide. A lot of times we'll add in stuff that I know would help. So we're gonna go like this, 2 times n plus 3. Would you get that you've been doing this for like 3 years? This is just distributing, it's pretty easy, right? So everybody go ahead, multiply that up. I'm just gonna show you how it's gonna get a little more complicated and a little more complicated. So what does this distribute out to? 2n plus 6. Raise your hand if you had 2n plus 6. Good. Now watch it get more complicated. What if I put an n here? Now what's the answer? Erase what you had. Change the problem. Because it's going to keep stepping up, and it's going to get a little more complicated. And the question is, everybody was fine with the first one. But on this one, some people are going to get confused because they're like, well, there's 2 n's. Is that like 4n then? What is it actually? 2n squared is correct. I need to know how many of you guys had 2n squared to start with. Good. Okay, and then 2n times the 3, 6n. There we go. Guess what? It's going to step up a little more. So everybody erase your answer again. Now we're going to change the problem to have a 4 here. Now multiply it out. We're in higher algebra, which means we're supposed to be able to do algebra at a higher level. So they have to get a little more complicated. How many of you knew that that's 8n squared? All right, less than before, but still a lot of people knew that. Yay. And then 2n times the 3 makes 6n. You with me so far? Okay, now erase the answer again, because it's going to step up and get a little more complicated. We're going to leave the problem like this, but then we're going to throw in a +1 here with parentheses. I want you to think of this. It's just distributing again. That's all it is. It didn't just change completely. It's just distributing, but we got to start. Yeah, you're going to do this times this and this times that. You're still going to do that, but you also have to do this and this. Notice all of a sudden there's 4 parts to it. And a lot of people call this FOIL because the first ones, which are this one and this one, that's the firsts, you know, and then the outside ones, which is this one and this one, are the outside ones, and then the inside and the last. But some people just think of it as distributing twice. Either way, there's 4 parts. Please write the 4 parts down for this one. Think of it as distributing 4 times. The 2n gets distributed and the 1 gets distributed. I personally do like first, outside, inside, last. So I'm going to do it in that order. You can do it in a different order and it'd be fine. As long as you get the same answer at the end. Here's my firsts. That's a first and that's a first. And 1 times 4n is 4n. Now I'm going to put a little plus in front of it just to mark that it is positive. Then I do the outside ones. I personally liked the green ones are the outside ones. So I'm going to do that next. And that's 3 times 1 is 3. Now I'm going to do the inside ones. The 2n and the 4n. When I multiply them, I get 8n squared. And now the lasts. I'm going to highlight, show you my last. That's a last one, and that's a last one. The 2n that I highlighted in pink, and the 3. And that makes 6n. I'm going to put a plus in front of it. These are all positive, aren't they? And then you just have to combine what? Like terms. Okay. Combine like terms and then see if you get the same final answer as the kid next to you. But remember, write it in order where the biggest power is first. Okay? I'm going to pause for a second while you finish this off. Combine like terms. Get a final answer. Put it in order with the biggest degree first. Okay, let's see how you did. I hope you started with this one because it's the biggest one, 8n squared. And then we have the outside, I should just say it this way. Those two, 6n and 4n, no matter where order you did it in, you would have had 10n. And then last is this 3 plus 3. Is that a polynomial? Would it be safe to call it a trinomial? Yes, got 3 whats? 3 terms, yep. And it's got degree what? Degree 2 is correct. Okay, what if I said, hey, I want you to do f of 1. If you understand what I just asked you, then do it and get the answer. I'm going to pause for a second. It's called evaluating the function. Do f of 1. Okay, so you stick a 1 in. The 1 goes here. 1 goes here. And now we got 1 squared is 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Do you get that's actually faster than a calculator? You can do that in your head. And then 10 times 1 is 10. That's definitely doable in your head. And then plus 3. So then 18 plus 3, 21. Raise your hand if you had a 21. Okay, cool. So what's this lesson about today? It's just multiplying polynomials. So if I give you this, 2x plus 7 times x minus 4, you might be like, we've done that a million times. Yeah, you have, but what if I make it more complicated and this is an x squared and this is a 3x to the third? That's how they get more complicated. So you still, in my opinion, just think of this as distribute. If I had just said 7 times these things, you'd be like, easy. I just go like that. So I'll get those 2 answers. Then do these 2. And then put them all together. That's your next challenge. Everybody try that one. 2x squared plus 7 times 3x to the third minus 4. So I'll get you started. Personally, I'm going to do these ones I circled in black first. 7 times the 3x to the third is 21x to the third. 7 times the negative 4, You could use a calculator quick if you have trouble with 7 times 4 is 28, but then there's a negative, so it's negative 28. Now I'm done with the ones in black. Now I'm going to change colors to blue. 2x squared times 3x to the third. Hardest one there. Who's confident? 2x squared, I'll highlight them. I'm asking about these two right here. 2x squared times 3x to the third. Who's confident? Come on, don't be scared. I won't mock you if you're wrong. I'll thank you for trying. All right, nobody's stepping up. I'm going to get out the dice of destiny. You know what that is? It's just 2 dice. What I do is roll them, and then the first one I roll is row. It's row 4. So a lot of you are like, phew, it's not me. And then it's person 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's you, sir, in the blue sweatshirt. When I do those 2 highlighted ones, 2x squared, 3x to the third, what do you think we get?
Would it be 6?
6.
6 to
X to the?
the 6th? Or would it be to the 5th?
That's a really good question. What do you guys think? 6th. It is to the 6th. Even I am thinking it through going, dang, is that right? Or is it to the 5th? Ooh, it's melting my brain. All right, so it's definitely positive though, right? Because they were both positive. But I'm not sure it's the 6th. All of a sudden, I'm like, not sure. So I'm going to go and do what you should do. If you're on one and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if that's right. I think it's to the 5th. Maybe it's the 6th. I don't know. Then write them both out and go like this. 2x squared times 3x to the third. And then, here's my best advice. Watch this. Isn't 2x squared really 2 times x times x times 3 times x times x? I'm doing what's called exploded view. Do you agree x to the third is xxx? Okay, now, can I just rearrange them and put the 2 and 3 next to each other? Yes, you can. So it's for sure 6. We weren't really confused about that. I knew it was 6. You guys probably knew it was 6. But I was like, not sure if this was x to the 5th or x to the 6th. Now you're looking at it. What do you guys think it is? I'm just going to put them all next to each other because some of you guys are still not confident. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 3 times x times x times x times x times x. Doesn't that make it really obvious? 6x to the, what is that? It's to the 5th. It's not to the 6th. I do. I'm a math teacher, and I was really confused for a second there. This is the kind where you add them. So that's what you need to do, is you need to write out what it means. Like this. X squared was like xx. X to the third is like xxx. And then if I'm actually multiplying, well, I can just put them all next to each other. Oh my gosh, there's 5 of them. X to the 5th. Yes?
Do you ever multiply exponents?
Yes. Let's go over exponent rules for just a second. If I put a power to a power, this would be x to the 6th. But if I go x squared times an x to the third, on that kind, you add them. And I can prove it to you because watch, I just did it a second ago. And then x to the third, that's to the third, that's to the second. Everybody looking at that knows it's got to be to the 5th. I mean, look at it. How on earth could that be anything but x to the 5th? Okay, so that's what I do when I get stuck. And honestly, right in front of you there, I was having a mental crisis like, is this 6th or 5th? I'm not sure. So I write it out, and once I see it written out, then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so back to where we were. Turns out this was to the 5th. Okay, now I have one last one, and that's this one right here. Just may have lost track, but we're doing this one here. 2x squared times negative 4. Well, that's easy because the 4 and the 2 just multiply and you get negative 8x squared. Okay, negative 8x squared. Now, these aren't in order. Is that a problem? Yeah, actually it is. So that's my answer. It's got 4 parts, but Now I got to put them all together. So I'm going to highlight the things that are like terms just to kind of help you out. There, I highlighted everything that's a like term because there isn't any. So, final answer, I just have to put them in order with the biggest one first. 6x to the 5th goes first. Then 21x to the 3rd. Then 8x squared, it's a negative 8x squared though. And then last, negative 28. Do you get that if anytime that there's a whole bunch of steps, there's a lot of chances to screw up? So I know a lot of people got that wrong because you had many, many chances to mess up. It was like a 16-part problem. Each little part isn't incredibly hard, but there's your final answer. But wait, there's more. The hardest kind today is this kind. A triple times a double. Everybody write this one down, ready? 2x squared plus x plus 1, that's a triple. That is called a trinomial. And we will not do a trinomial times a trinomial. It's just too much. It's like, come on, it's getting gross. But we'll do a trinomial times a binomial. So like on your tests, I think the furthest we'll go is a trinomial like this times a binomial like this. X squared, let's just make it x. X plus 3. Do you get, if I had not put these here, you would just multiply both things by 1 and it would have been super easy, right? Well, what if I didn't put this here? Then you just do like FOIL. Well, I have 3 things, so I got to do it separately. This times this, and this times that. Then I'll do a different color. This times this, and this times that. And then I'll do a third color. This times this, and this times that. That's 6 parts to your answer. Yeah, we have them that hard on your test. It's not that hard. You just have to do one more set of distributing. Everybody give it your best shot. If you get confused by one, write it out in exploded view like I showed you. I'll pause for a sec while you give this one a try. Let's see if you got this one right. So I'm going to do the black ones first, and that's 1 times x is x. 1 times 3 is 3. And I made them all positive to keep your life a little bit better. Now I'm going to do the blue ones. X times x here is x squared. Where do I put it? I can put it anywhere I want. I'm going to gather my like terms later. X times the 3 is 3x. And last is the green ones. The 2x squared times the x, that's the most complicated one. That's 2x to the 3rd. I'm going to put them over here. I could put it anywhere, so I may as well put it there. And now 2x squared times the 3, 6x squared. And now they're all pluses, so find the like terms. That's like that. And that is like that. And I think that's all the like terms. So then the first one here is 2x to the 3rd. Who had the right leading term? 2x to the 3rd. Nice work. Then these go together and make 7x squared. And then the x's go together and make 4x. And then there was nobody to join with the lonely 3, so we just put plus 3. There it is. Boom. Final answer. That is as hard as they can be. Unless we threw in one negative. It would just add a little bit of complication with a negative. Do you feel like you understand what just happened there? 3 separate little multiplies. It's like distributing, but 3 times. All right, cool. Then let's actually get homework. So there is a worksheet. Can you open up that worksheet and read me the first problem? Everybody just open it up. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. What is it called? There's only one other file in today's thing. What's it called? Multiplying polynomials. Okay, cool. You clearly have it open. Could you read me the first problem? Number 1.
7x to the power of 4, parentheses, negative x squared plus 2x minus 3.
Okay. There's our first challenge. It's just a normal distribute. That times that. Think of a negative as a -1. I'm making it blue just to make it stand out. Do you get how that's like a -1? And you always multiply your numbers with your numbers. So that's 7 and the -1 makes it -7. And I just struggled with this one before. Do you remember? Do we add this kind? 7x to the 6th. And if you were like, I don't remember, well then, watch me. 7x to the 4th times -1x squared. And then I could exploded view that thing. X times -1 x. And look at, there's 6 of them. X to the 6th. Okay, now I'm going to go this times this. 7x to the 4th times the 2 makes 14. X to the, I add this kind, 5th. How many of you had to the 5th? Okay, good. And then the third thing, the last thing, I'll do it in blue. So that times that. So that's just the numbers go together. So I got -3 times the 7 is -21 x to the 4th. Is there any like terms? Nope. So that's it. And what degree is it? Degree 6. And is it a bi or a trinomial? Trinomial. See how that happened? All right. So that's all you got to do. I think this is fairly easy. How many questions are there total?
6.
6 questions. Almost insultingly easy. But you have the rest of the hour. Now, I know, there's tricky ones. You saw me get stuck. So if you have to, come up and ask me. I'll be happy to help you. I'd love to see you be able to finish this in class. And that's all I got for you for today.